guess every part of my life has been against the government and their silliness. It's a very weird system that we've created of consumerism, of fitting in a box, and of not going outside that box.
A grandmother from Miami-Dade is fighting to stay in the treehouse she's lived in for the past 10 years. The county says it was built illegally and is not safe.
I mean, people always think I'm weird and crazy and eccentric and, oh, I would love to live like this, but no.
Shawnee Chasser, a 65-year-old Florida native, lives apart from conventional society. In her own quaint, peaceful oasis in the middle of North Miami. A treehouse, which she has quietly lived in for the past 10 years. Shawnee's treehouse, set back on a half-acre patch of land, is just like any other house. It has a master bedroom, an office, a working stove, and even a TV.
It's everything to me. It's pretty simple.
But this oasis may soon be a thing of the past. In September of 2015, the Miami-Dade County told Shawnee her home was unsafe. And in January of 2017, ordered her to make costly renovations by May 9th, or else she would be evicted and her treehouse torn down. This story caught international attention for being one about a purple-haired grandma who lives in a treehouse. But she's more than that. Shawnee is a woman who's been battling for most of her life to find purpose in a capitalistic world that she says lacks humanity. And this battle started in high school, although her first attempt to discover herself didn't last very long.
I was an artist. My mother called the newspaper and had them put the mural that I painted on my bedroom in the paper. This is me being an actress playing Barbra Streisand in Funny Girl. At that time, I think 90% of me thought I was really going to be an actress. When I was on stage and I was crying and the audience would cry with me and I'd get standing ovations, or when I made them laugh, it felt so good. It was attention, which is what I was craving.
After graduating in 1969, she went to California, hoping to make it in Hollywood, but ended up joining something different.
After a few weeks of being in the world of trying to get an acting gig, I realized nothing was happening and I didn't really appreciate the way I was being treated. Bumped into a couple of hippies quite by accident. At that point, was not a hippie, did not want to do anything that hippies do. But they asked me if I wanted to go protest the war in Vietnam at the UCLA campus.
The hippie movement, a cultural phenomenon that spread throughout the world between the 1960s and 70s, was marked by an anti-establishment ideal.
You can't get caught in the conforming, rote lockstep, which we call American society.
As a rebellious young woman, it was of no surprise that Shawnee took this to heart.
Protesting became my life. Bought a VW van, painted it with all the hippie paintings, and went around the country protesting.
After almost 2 decades on the road, a majority of which spent as a single mother of 2, she reestablished herself in Miami in 1987, returning from her most memorable protesting experience, the Great Peace March of 1986.
I I traveled in a camper with my 2 kids. We went to California. And as I was getting ready to leave California, there were signs up all over saying, "Do you want to march across the country for global nuclear disarmament?" It was a walk for 9 months from LA to DC. Well, that was my kind of demonstration. My kids were 9 and 10, and I was ready to walk. That 9 months was probably the greatest 9 months of my life, and my kids will never forget it. I will never forget it. You try to bring it back, and there's no way. And when it ended, we all just cried and cried and cried and figured, what are we going to do now? No, it's a hard life protesting. It really is.
Well,
And if I
not for Tiger, not for somebody who's got money.
No, they have it figured out. I'm just talking about how I couldn't have gone to jail if you didn't take my kids at the end of the Florida March. I mean, what do you do, you know? How do you do?
But while most of her peers readjusted easily back into normal life, Shawnee held fiercely to her anti-establishment ideals. In order to do that, she felt the need to create her own reality within society. For Shawnee, that reality meant living in a treehouse.
This is my treehouse, my free house, my secret you and me house.
For her, the treehouse represents the simple life.
I live with mosquitoes, which everybody finds impossible. I made an agreement with them years ago. We had a ceremony, and I told them I would never kill them if they didn't bite me, and it worked since. So this is the beginning. I just finished painting this, my favorite Dr. Seuss sign, and these are the best pictures ever. That's my son Joshua, who was also a sailor. This is my daughter and her 2 kids, my grandbabies. That's Ren and Savannah and Jeremiah. This is the famous picture of Joshua at the Chrome Center protesting for the Haitians. These are everybody that has a peace sign in their hands. All my friends, Alanis Morissette, Huey Newton. I think that we all think we need too much. We need a bedroom for each of our kids. My kids slept in tiny little spaces and woke up to a life. That's what we're all figuring out, is that we want more of life.
Shawnee never worked for anyone. She worked as a waitress, cleaned houses, and babysat, making just enough to get by. So, in order to help her pay the bills, she started renting out spaces on her property in 2002. But she never thought that one of her tenants would bring her so much trouble.
Somebody that was living here with a child wasn't watching her child, and I said, you can't do that anymore, and she didn't want me to tell her how to raise her child. So I told her she had to leave, and she called code enforcement, and they have been bothering me for about 1.5 years now.
In 2015, city inspectors determined that Shawnee's home was unsafe and not up to Florida building codes. Shawnee has been working with a pro bono lawyer and an architect, trying to do everything she can to save her home.
I have paid about $12,000 in fines and changes in the yard, and I now have to, they want me to do everything.
There is a purpose to it, because you can't just have people going out and building what they want, wherever they want, without any standards, because, I mean, that's incredibly dangerous. But when you're applying it at an individual level is where it always is just, it's not fair. They don't care what happens to the person or afterwards. They care. What they'll always say is it's a slippery slope. If we allow this to just skate by, if we don't uniformly enforce our regulations, then what's to stop your neighbor from doing the same thing? And then all of a sudden we have all these incredibly unsafe structures everywhere.
She has been given until May 9th to get the building permits and until August 7th to make all required changes to her home. And if Shawnee doesn't get the treehouse up to code, the city has vowed to tear it down.
If the property owner refuses to take any action, they do have the right under the code to come and demolish the structure themselves, and then on top of that charge you for the action that they took.
I mean, you don't get any worse than this as far as being rejected by society and fighting society. It's not permitted. You know, what is that? They just don't get it at all. They don't get where a simple waterfall is, you know, so healing and the thing that Josh loved the most, and I'm not going to take it down.
Shawnee's fight to hold on to her treehouse is a personal one. This property is where she used to live with her son, who suffered a fatal heart attack in 2009.
This was his paradise. He was 32 when he died, and he used to say, "Mom, I don't ever need to live anywhere else." We were best friends, and we would go to lunch almost 3 times a week together. We would go to the movies once a week. We loved each other. We had not very many problems. He was my angel.
And while she fights the city to save her treehouse, Shawnee is also trying to find her place in society on her own terms.
Trying to create a billion-dollar business so I can get kids off the street, which has been the thing I've wanted to do for 45 years.
In 2010, she started a popcorn company.
I'm Art Friedrich. I'm the president of Shawnee's Green Thumb Popcorn. Been working with Shawnee for a couple of years.
Shawnee's Green Thumb Popcorn is loaded with a green algae, her healthy take on traditional snacks.
$13.50, I think.
Each?
Yeah.
12 times 13, that's...
And the way that I see Shawnee, a lot of times, like, she's lived on the outside very much, kind of hand to mouth, you know, never put aside any money for savings, you know, worked as little as she had to get by. You know, once she turned like 60, she really started to realize that she had nothing, and that money is also power and security, and that she, like, you know, has no retirement plan and she has nothing. So she started trying to do things to make money, and she's in this big hurry to try to make money because she realizes that she has to have something to live on.
All right, so end this and let's go. I have places to go, people to meet.
Her popcorn has sold in Whole Foods markets throughout Florida for 3.5 years, and she is now looking to expand.
She's definitely created her own rules, lived by her own standards, and there's a lot of beauty in that.
You like
I read your whole thing.
Oh, nice.
You're incredible.
Thank you, thank you.
You're really on to something. I want to back it up, please.
I'm on to something. Yes.
I also see in her wanting to be a part of kind of our society, and she wants to affect it. And I feel like there's a tension that she struggles with.
All the time I get that question. I get, do I have to change who I am to actually make millions of dollars to save the world and get kids off the street? No, it's what you do to me. I won't change. I may have, I don't know. How could I possibly change? I just don't think there's much change here. Oh, it's what you do to me. Oh, it's what you do to me.
With only 2 months to go before the city's deadline, Shawnee is on edge, trying her best to get her mind off her home issue. But ignoring her problems doesn't make them go away.
Hello. How's my calm me down lawyer? Yeah. Why am I so nervous about not getting an architect? He pulled out. I know, and it's like he's got all the information. I mean, we still have 2 months. Right. Okay, thank you so much. I feel better already. Okay, bye. That was my lawyer. He said that we can possibly get an extension just because my architect pulled out, but don't count on it. You know, I mean, you know, I'm just working it at all levels. I'm trying not to get depressed or feel stressed. Okay, so we have a high tide, which is great. The wrong way. And you have to pick what part of the revolution you want to be. And right now, I'm here, and I'm sailing, and I'm 65. And for me, that works. Well, this is so much easier than the blower. Oh my God, I love it. It really is my antidepressant. Too much land, too many problems, too many tenants, too much popcorn, you know, life. I would have loved to give up this fight. I didn't need to fight about a treehouse and a waterfall. That's petty stuff. Let's go for the bigger stuff. I really don't want to waste my time and money on this. I want to get kids off the street and have them eating good. Did I tell you this story? I'm in jail, and there's 50,000 of us.
What did you go to jail for?
For shutting down the Pentagon. Yeah, we were serious.